This isn't just another political headline scrolling across your phone while you sip your morning coffee. This is the kind of story that reaches into your living room, into your family conversations, and into your trust in the system that's supposed to protect you. Because when powerful people panic, when voices get louder and statements get sharper, it usually means something deeper is happening behind the scenes. And right now, the spotlight is back on the Epstein files, documents that have haunted politics, media, and public trust for years. Across the country, Americans are asking the same question: what's really in those files? And why does it seem like every time new information surfaces, the political temperature shoots through the roof? This isn't just about names on paper. It's about accountability, transparency, and whether the system treats everyone equally, or whether the rich and powerful play by different rules. In recent days, political tensions have exploded once again as Donald Trump reportedly reacted with fury to renewed attention on the Epstein documents. The reaction wasn't calm, it wasn't quiet, it was loud, emotional, and impossible to ignore. And that's exactly why this story is spreading so fast across television screens, social media feeds, and dinner tables. Because when a former president reacts this strongly to a story about secret files, people start wondering what's coming next. And more importantly, how does it affect you, your future, and the country your family depends on? Stay with me, because what unfolds next could reshape the political conversation in ways no one expected. The files that changed everything. To understand the reaction, you have to understand the files themselves. The Epstein documents aren't just a stack of paperwork sitting in a dusty cabinet somewhere. They represent years of investigations, lawsuits, testimony, and allegations involving some of the most powerful names in business, politics, and entertainment. For years, Americans have heard whispers about these files. Every few months, a new batch of documents gets unsealed, and suddenly headlines explode. Names appear, questions multiply, and the public is left wondering who knew what and when. This latest wave of attention isn't happening in a vacuum. It's coming at a time when trust in institutions is already fragile. Inflation, housing costs, healthcare bills, these are the things that hit your wallet every day. And when you're struggling to keep up with rising prices, it's hard not to feel angry when stories about powerful elites dominate the news cycle. People aren't just curious about these files, they're emotional about them. They want answers, they want transparency, and they want to know whether the same justice system that watches their tax returns and parking tickets is watching the people at the top with the same intensity. That's why the renewed focus on the Epstein documents has sparked such strong reactions. It's not just another political scandal. It's a test of trust, and Americans are paying very close attention. Trump's explosive reaction. According to reports and public statements, Trump didn't respond quietly to the renewed attention around the Epstein files. Instead, the reaction was fiery, emotional, and full of sharp words. Social media posts, interviews, and campaign style messaging all pointed to one thing: frustration and anger at how the story was being framed. And this is where things get intense. Because when a political figure as prominent as Trump reacts this strongly, it instantly becomes a national conversation. Supporters rally, critics respond, cable news lights up. And suddenly, the story isn't just about documents, it's about politics, loyalty, and power. Trump has long insisted that he cut ties with Epstein years before the scandal exploded into the public eye. He's repeated that message in multiple interviews, but the renewed focus on the files has pulled his name back into the conversation, and that's clearly triggered a powerful reaction. For millions of Americans watching from home, the situation feels like deja vu, another political storm, another round of headlines, another moment where it feels like the truth is buried somewhere beneath layers of statements, denials, and accusations. And the big question now is simple: is this just political theater, or is something bigger about to surface? Why this moment feels different. Here's what makes this situation feel different from previous Epstein headlines. This time, the political stakes are higher than ever. The country is heading toward another major election cycle, and every headline carries more weight. When stories like this break, they don't just stay in the legal or social sphere, they spill directly into politics. Campaign messaging shifts, fundraising emails go out, attack ads get drafted, and before you know it, a legal story turns into a political weapon. For voters, this creates a strange and uneasy feeling. You're trying to focus on your job, your mortgage, your grocery bill, and suddenly, the biggest political story of the week revolves around secret files and elite connections. It creates a sense of distance between everyday Americans and the people in power, and that distance fuels anger, suspicion, and frustration. Because at the end of the day, people don't just want drama, they want answers, they want stability, they want a system that feels fair and predictable. And when political reactions start to look like meltdowns instead of measured responses, it raises even more questions about what's really happening behind the curtain. The political firestorm begins. As Trump's reactions spread across the news cycle, political opponents wasted no time jumping into the conversation. Statements were released, press conferences were held, social media turned into a battlefield of accusations and counter-accusations. This is how political firestorms are born. One side says the reaction proves guilt, the other side says it proves persecution, and somewhere in the middle, ordinary Americans are left trying to figure out what's actually true. But here's the reality. Political scandals rarely stay contained. They ripple outward, they influence elections, they shape public trust, and they can even affect economic confidence. When major political figures are caught in controversy, markets react, business confidence shifts, policies get delayed, and sometimes the effects trickle all the way down to your paycheck, your retirement account, or your grocery bill. So even if this story feels like distant political drama, it has a way of creeping into everyday life. That's why so many people are paying attention, and why reactions like this are causing such a stir. Supporters' close ranks. As criticism intensified, Trump's supporters quickly moved to defend him. Political allies appeared on television. Online communities rallied. Campaign-style messaging kicked into high gear. They argued that the renewed attention to the Epstein files was politically motivated. They claimed it was another attempt to damage Trump ahead of the election cycle. And for many supporters, the emotional reaction wasn't a meltdown. It was a sign of frustration with what they see as unfair treatment. This divide is what makes the story so powerful and so polarizing. On one side, critics see explosive reactions as a sign of trouble. On the other side, supporters see them as proof of political attacks. And while the debate rages on, the American public is left sorting through competing narratives, trying to figure out what's real and what's spin. The media frenzy. Once the story hit major networks, the media frenzy began. Panels of commentators debated every word. Headlines got sharper, graphics got bigger, and the tone of the coverage became more intense by the hour. For viewers at home, it can feel overwhelming. One channel says one thing, another says the opposite. Social media adds even more noise, and before long, it becomes hard to separate fact from opinion. This media environment creates a constant sense of urgency. Every headline feels like breaking news. Every update feels like the story is about to explode. And that's exactly why moments like Trump's reaction spread so fast. They're emotional, they're dramatic, and they keep audiences glued to their screens. What could come next? Right now, the biggest question isn't what already happened, it's what happens next. Will more documents be released? Will new names surface? Will the political fallout grow even bigger? These are the questions dominating conversations across the country. And until there are clear answers, the suspense isn't going away. Because every new revelation has the potential to shake the political landscape. It could influence campaigns, debates, and even voter turnout. And when that happens, the effects reach far beyond Washington. They reach into your community, your workplace, and your family's future. Why this matters to you. At first glance, a political meltdown over legal documents might feel like something that only matters to politicians and pundits. But the truth is, these moments shape the direction of the country. They influence elections, they affect policies, and those policies determine everything from taxes to healthcare to retirement benefits. So when major political figures are caught in controversies, it doesn't just stay in the headlines. It eventually shows up in your daily life. That's why stories like this matter. They're not just about one person or one scandal, they're about the system, the future, and the direction the country takes next. As the dust settles on this latest political explosion, one thing is clear: this story isn't over, not even close. More reactions are coming, more headlines are on the way, and the political stakes will only get higher as the election season approaches. For Americans watching from home, this is a moment that demands attention, because the decisions made in the coming months could shape your taxes, your benefits, your job market, and your family's future. That's why staying informed isn't just a political choice. It's a financial one. It's a family decision. It's about making sure you're prepared for whatever comes next. So keep your eyes on the updates, pay attention to the details, and don't miss the next video because the next headline could change everything.